Welcome to iHeartGeek.
And welcome to a exciting edition of iHeartGeek. I've been looking forward to this for, a good 3 months. With me, I have a guy that you may already know. We have Jay Sandlin. How you doing, Jay?
Hey, good to be here. Thank you.
And the one that we're really excited about, no offense, Jay, is the Wolverine, the man, Cal Dodd. How you doing, sir?
I am fantastic. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Okay, I'll take that. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So, just to start off, we've had...
Sorry, I forgot to put Bub at the end of that.
Yeah.
Ooh,
You're fired.
chilling.
I don't know.
Okay, you're hired.
Well, there you go. I can't do Bub on anything. It sounds weird to me. On me, anyway. We had a bunch of our listeners had a lot of questions for you, and we had to kind of narrow a lot of them down. But I was wondering if you might be interested in answering a few of our questions.
Sure.
Okay. Well, what else are you gonna do? You're on the phone anyway, right? Okay. So the first one is from Dave Casada. Before Jackman took over the role of Wolverine, who did you want to play it?
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to you, bub.
Oh. Me?
Yeah. You, the man.
Yeah, I know.
I'm applauding over here.
There was well, being Canadian and not a big actor myself, I just there was some guy that was supposed to play him initially before Hugh, and couldn't do it because he was doing another movie. And are you familiar with that story?
I am a little bit familiar with that. I don't remember his name, but if I'm not mistaken, he was more the proportions of what Wolverine is traditionally considered to be in the comics.
That would have been nice.
Which is like 5'3", stubby kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Whereas Jackman's
muscle.
6'5".
Yeah, and I met when I met you in 2000 or 1999, whenever they were in town for whatever shooting thing, and he came up to me and said, "I'm so tired of hearing your voice, mate." And he didn't say it like that because that's Wolverine. But he said, "Nice to meet you." He said, "I'm really tired of hearing your voice," because that was the only reference he had for Wolverine.
Yeah,
vocal was the animated series.
Well, I would have never said that just because I heard your voice every Saturday morning for most of my childhood, and never got tired of hearing the egg-sucking piece of gutter trash.
Bub.
I thought, well, thank you. That's wonderful. But I mean, he was very polite and a very nice man, and I thought, boy, you're tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he is, and I just wonder,
absolutely.
wow, Wolverine. This is just not the way I pictured it, but I love what he's done with the role, and I think he's fantastic.
So you're happy with how he ended up? Everybody is, but yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody before you played the role Australian. Why did they get that, being the Wolverine's Canadian, and where did you come up with your rendition of it?
The initial Wolverine, are you saying the initial animated Wolverine was an Australian person?
Yeah, there's two different Australian accents.
That's correct.
On the Kitty Pryde and on the Amazing Spider-Man one.
I had the VHS of that Amazing Spider-Man one, and he pulls out, he pops a claw and says, "Hey, mate,
it's weird.
You want some kebabs?"
That on the babby? No, that's just wrong.
Yeah, absolutely
wrong. No, and well, he's the only Canadian X-Men as far as I know. I mean, so I don't know. They came into town and for auditions, and I didn't even have an agent for voice at that time.
Really, that's a tough gig to land.
I had only done like one national car commercial without an agent, and I got a call from the casting girl, Karen Gora, who said, "Cal, would you be interested in auditioning for this?" I said, "What is that?" She said, "Well, it's a cartoon. It's a cartoon, and it's an animated series, and it's a character named Wolverine." I said, "Oh, okay, so I'll go in." I went in, and the guys from New York and LA were there. And Sydney, I want her, and all the boys. And the guy came out and said, "I'd like you to read this." And the thing was, you like picking on people smaller than you? Well, I'm smaller than you, pal. Pick on me. And as soon as I looked at it, they said, I said, "Do you have any what is he supposed to sound like?" And they said, "Well, think Ward Bond, and I went, Ward Bond is like an old actor. Ward Bond and of course Clint Eastwood. And so I'm there were a bunch of lines to read, and I just added Wolfman, a bit of Wolfman Jack.
Oh, that's where that is.
Yeah, baby. That kind of that stuff in there. Because I love
now
Wolfman
that you
Jack.
mention it, I hear a lot of Eastwood in your Logan.
Yeah, and particularly that line, that from that great scene is it a Sentinel or something? That's, I know what you're thinking, punk. Question is, can I get Wolverine before he turns me into into shish kebabs of those claws? Well, seeing as how these claws are adamantium, the strongest metal known to mankind, they can slice through vanadium steel like a hot knife through butter, buddy. You better be asking yourself, do I feel like? Yeah, that's the whole Clint Eastwood scene.
Yes,
that's amazing.
Oh, I get chills.
So anyway, so as soon as I finished the read, it was like almost. They just all jumped up in the control room, and it was like, because they'd been auditioning for Wolverine for quite a while, and I don't know why they landed on all the talent is Canadian, so that's the story.
Nice.
I love that first line that you mentioned doing for the audition, because I know that episode so well. It's one of the early episodes where Wolverine meets up with Sabretooth.
Sabretooth, yeah.
Oh, man, Victor Creed, yes. And I hated the Sabretooth in the Logan movie, the X-Men Origins movie, Wolverine. Most of us disliked that Sabretooth, but Sabretooth on the cartoon
was right.
Is great. Stalking Wolverine. I don't know if they ever talked about their relationship on the show. Do you remember, Cal?
No. Like their actual relationship, like
it was like an open
the
mystery.
Brother thing. Well, that's before the comics came out.
Exactly, it was way before. It was like an open mystery as to why Sabretooth and Wolverine were kind of having this cat and mouse game, so to speak.
Yeah, whether they were brothers or he was his father, or it's I don't know. Yeah, I never got it.
I never liked them being brothers for some reason.
No, I like them being part of the team together as X-Force. I thought that was more interesting than just the brother dynamic. But yeah, I'm geeking out. I apologize.
I just dislike doing those scenes with them in this actual studio.
Really?
Don Franks, God rest him, he died last year.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Sabretooth. Anyway, but because it was constant fights and screaming.
Yeah.
And you couldn't talk when you walked out of the studio.
That's got to shred your voice.
Oh, yeah, and I was doing a lot of singing back in those days, so I wouldn't be able to sing for at least a day, 2 days, because that stuff just over and over and over again.
No, actually, I had a question about the singing thing that one of our Herb Sanders asked. What would it take you to do an X-Men animated musical version? What would it take to get you in the studio to do that?
$1.
I got that. We can make this happen then.
Yeah.
Of course, we're taking it to the strip club after, but we will.
Well, there goes that $1. Hey, I am in Vegas.
X-Men the musical.
Well, they did that on The Flash recently.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing now. But I went through and listened to a lot of your YouTube stuff. And like, wow, you really can sing. What do you know? But it would be cool to hear you singing as Wolverine. I think it'd be interesting.
As Wolverine?
As Wolverine. I think it would be absolutely fantastic, actually. But
that would hurt.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if you could do that night after night.
I can't even imagine.
Do some 9-inch nails.
Yeah.
9-inch nails featuring Logan.
Oh, this is good. I'm liking this now.
Yeah.
Or the Johnny Cash. They had a lot of that in Old Man Logan anyway. It all circles back.
No, that's the one that I hear more and more going back whenever I was talking to my friends about this. They all wanted me to ask you, what's your thoughts on the Old Man Wolverine stuff, Old Man Logan stuff, which is like one of the best Wolverine stories. And you would be the perfect voice for it because you created it and you have that Clint Eastwood feel behind your voice. Have you ever been approached about doing that? Is there any possibility of that ever happening?
No. Well, no, I don't have possibility, but I've never heard. That's the first I've heard of any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, we're just geeks. We don't have any power on anything. We're just wondering if that could happen.
Now, are you referring to the comic or the most recent Logan movie?
The original comic.
That original comic had some weird stuff in it.
Oh yeah, but it was so good.
It was good. It was good. What did you think about the movie, Cal?
The movies?
Yeah, the movie, Logan.
Especially the most recent is what I was referring.
No, I was about. As a matter of fact, the engineer that I have here, we were going to go see it together. He saw it once by himself.
Really?
And no, I haven't seen it yet. I don't know.
2 thumbs up.
Oh yeah,
for me at least.
It's the most interesting thing happened when we stepped out of the theater. The credits came on. The Johnny Cash song came on. The theater was silent. Everybody walked out, went to the bathroom. Everybody was silent. I've never heard that before. Like, wow.
Johnny Cash tune. Which tune that? The last one that he recorded.
I think it's "The Man Comes Around." Is the
was it? The Man Comes Around, but "Hurt" was what was featured so prominently in the trailers.
No, but Man Comes Around
was there. Yeah,
yeah,
that was the end. Yes, but I really liked it with "Hurt" because that was Logan as a character to me. Just the lyrics to that, it's always hit me.
But going back to Cal, I mean, if we didn't have your voice on it, I mean, honestly, this character probably would have sunk into obscurity because the geek culture would have walked away from it. But it's your voice that really cemented who he was, because they would have brought another Australian in. Would have been absolutely terrible.
I would be looking for that adamantium bullet to shoot myself with.
So, are you involved with the Wolverine stuff anymore? Is anything going to happen? No.
Nothing until the last year. Like nothing.
Really?
Yeah. Just when they came out on, I actually bought the 5-year series on Bluetooth or whatever it was released on. I finally just got a copy of that last year, so I'm just going through looking at them again. It's just it's fantastic. Looking at it, it's such a great cartoon.
It's absolutely perfect. Honestly, from everybody, thank you for doing it because. Yeah, you helped to make it. I know I'm fanboying out a little bit. I apologize. But.
No, it was my pleasure, and I sure miss him.
Yeah,
definitely miss him.
The thing about it for me is you were running concurrently with Batman the Animated Series as well as Spider-Man the Animated Series.
Oh yeah.
Even shared some network time with Spidey in a crossover episode.
Yeah.
And that was a time period where it felt like to me, you can tell me if you agree or not, that they wanted to have more of a prime-time adult feel in their animation for the superheroes.
For sure. Yeah, I remember them saying that, actually.
Oh.
I couldn't get over the animation, which was the best I'd ever seen. Mm-hmm. And the content it definitely wasn't a cartoon.
No.
This is not for kids and stuff. I remember some people that I was working with doing singing with and stuff who wouldn't let their kids watch it. And I said, why? Because there was also a rule that no one would ever be killed in an X-Men cartoon episode ever.
Hence,
and so they all run away. Yeah. Yeah. And everyone just runs away and lives happily ever after. And so I said that to this guy, and he just said, well, it just looks really violent. Well, why don't you watch it?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
But your sister show, Spider-Man, had that worse. There was a rule that Spider-Man couldn't make a fist, or when he landed on a roof, he couldn't hurt any pigeons.
Wow. I'd like to see Wolverine do that.
I'll hurt your pigeons. See, I can't do it.
I'll hurt your pigeons. Oh God.
So are you?
Go ahead. Sorry.
So you're still doing voiceover work?
Oh yeah.
What are you doing lately?
Oh no, I haven't done any animation in 5 years.
Really?
5-6 years.
I love the story about your audition. How did you find out you got the part?
Actually, I was back at my mom's house, and they called me the next day.
Oh, wow.
Just over the
That's
phone.
Fast.
Like I said, that it just seemed to be. They just said it was like they were so relieved. Like, wow, that's his voice. That's him. That's the guy.
Yeah.
And I was just okay. I had no idea who he was. I wasn't into the X-Men. Didn't know who anyone was.
Yeah.
I said, well, you're Wolverine now. And he said, well, that's perfect. Away we go. And we went into the studio, and they would spend hours, the first, literally 6 hours honing and shaping what's he going to sound like when he's not fighting, when he's not angry?
Mm-hmm.
And it would be about, so we had to decide how he would talk when he was just being normal and that kind of thing. And like, anytime, pretty boy.
Oh,
that
nice.
Soft nuances and stuff. And it took literally, I'd sit outside and because they'd be working with the Cyclops or someone else. This is the first week that we actually went into the studio with all the head guys and stuff. And they were just trying to get everyone, okay, now we're happy. He's where he should be. Let's do an episode. So let's start. But that was hours of just sitting in a studio and doing what they told us to do.
It's the less glamorous side, I guess.
Yeah. But it was well worth it. And it was a wonderful cartoon, a wonderful cast, and 5 great years.
You being a Canadian, were you a fan of the Alpha Flight superheroes that Wolverine started out with? No. Oh, why is that?
I know nothing about him. I knew nothing about him. Alpha Flight. I have no idea.
Yeah. I think that was probably Wolverine's origin story. They called him Weapon X, and that was a good episode that I liked in particular, where he meets North Star and the Sasquatch.
I was just watching that the other day.
Oh, were you?
Oh, yeah.
What episode is that, Jay?
This was like a flashback to where Logan's talking about his past, and they show how he got, the adamantium skeleton at Weapon X, and they stick him in a group called Alpha Flight, and they kind of break away and become heroes. And the episode ends with Logan saying, "Oh boy, I'm going to embarrass myself."
No.
He says, "Forget about this whole Weapon X stuff. I'm Wolverine," basically, and that was how it ends. Roll credits. That was one that I really liked.
Yeah.
Just getting to the character and the past of Logan is just always the mythology that we love.
Yeah. Okay, so that episode was probably called Weapon X, was it?
I think it was actually.
I don't know the name. Yeah.
I will text it back to you. I can find it in about 10
right.
minutes, but I got to go to my TV because it's on my Netflix. Just cause. So did you get access to all the famous Marvel archives so you could read all the old comics and kind of find the character, or did you just literally create the character in your own mind?
Of course, I went out and looked up his name and bought some comics and looked at them and stuff, just to get the vibe on him and stuff. But they seemed to be happy with where they were at, and I did read some old comics and stuff and find Wolverine information. I just kept it where it was at.
Well, I was gonna say I've heard you say it on this show, and I've heard you say it on another show that you just miss the character and you love the character.
Oh yeah.
It's how do you say goodbye to that character? I mean, that's from what you're explaining. He's very much is you. So I mean, that's really
yeah.
surgery.
No, that's the way I felt too. It felt like well, a part of me that's the end of that, and it was just kind of weird to never do that again, and never have the chance to see him, to visit him, to be him, and I was, as I said on other shows, whatever. He meant so much to people that at the golf course where I golf and stuff. This little kid would come up, and he'd be at the snack shack or something. He'd pull on my back, say, "Mr. Dodd, could you just please do the Wolverine voice for me, please?" And he was. This was 10 years ago. He's now 22 or something. He was 12 at the time, and I never let him forget that. So so.
Well, I'm 40 and I'll still beg for it.
Yeah. So they people loved him, and he got the best lines.
Oh yeah.
He just had the best lines. It was just hilarious.
Yeah, easily.
It's hilarious going on YouTube and seeing people that have put together, bits of all the famous Wolverine lines. It makes me laugh my head off.
Yeah.
I was telling my engineer, because I just happened to watch this episode. No. Wolverine, when he wakes up and he puts his claw into the phone and he pulls it out, and because he smashes the phone, of course, and there's an alert by Professor Xavier, so he's woken up early and he smashes the thing and he says, "I hate when I do that." But then then they're all running up into the plane and into the jet, and Xavier's there and he's saying something to Wolverine, who stops and says, "This better be good. This better be important. Because if I don't get a good night's sleep, I'm cranky all day." Yeah, right. Like you're so pleasant other days.
He certainly did have the best lines.
Oh yeah.
Gambit and Rogue had some good ones as well. Those were two other popular characters.
Nightcrawler did too.
Oh, gotta love Nightcrawler.
I loved
Oh,
actually
yeah.
the Wolverine play with Nightcrawler. I thought that was just a very interesting friendship dichotomy between those two, which was really interesting, I think.
Yeah, and that's actually the episode. That's one of my favorites of all.
The first one that they meet
Yeah,
at the monastery?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and
You had a line in that episode, if I'm not mistaken, that got so deep for what you'd expect in that medium, where I think Logan just says something to Nightcrawler, God gave up on us a long time ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
Where's your God now, pal?
Yeah.
And I love the end of that because Rogues comes and finds him in a church in France, and he's got the Bible that Nightcrawler gave him, and he's praying, like he's kneeling down and he's praying. It was just so it touched me.
He was reading a verse about not being afraid in the darkness or something to that effect. Yeah. Because they had some dark times, obviously.
Yeah. No, that was a great episode.
So who did you enjoy working with as far as characters go the most, as far as that show goes anyway?
Well, I got a lot of laughs working with Cyclops because I just detested him. I like the character. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw you commented on that today. Was it Katie or Katie?
Katie.
Hey, let's give a shout out to our friend Super Katie at
Super Katie.
Kaity. She's a super nice girl and a writer as well.
Yeah, and lives in a wonderful place, Anchorage, Alaska.
Oh, that's cold.
So we were talking about what we're referring to, since they can't see us, is a GIF online of Wolverine just running off the Blackbird and punching Cyclops in the gut.
It was fantastic.
God. And it looks like it's for no reason whatsoever.
But in any event, what I was telling Katie is I don't even remember the context of that scene. Mm-hmm. But who needs one, right?
Yeah. Neither do I, because it's just he runs up and then he said, the next time I'll use these.
Oh.
Like he would never. Anyway, so Cyclops, yeah. I liked working with him because he's a very funny guy. Mm-hmm. And I just couldn't stand him because the character, they're both in love with Jean Grey. And but Norm is very funny. Funny.
That's something you and I talked about on Twitter once. I asked you a question, and I guess I'll ask it again. Who you thought Logan's one love, in all his long life was?
There's been a lot.
There have been a lot.
Well, Jean Grey. I don't. Rogue. Oh, who is it?
Well, Deathstrike.
Storm was it Storm on that?
He and Storm did have a thing for
the future to past thing. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
But you said that Jean Grey was it for Logan. I think.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, let me ask you this real quick, kind of change gears a little bit. Do you do the Comic-Cons and all that? Because I was asked to ask you that because a lot of people would love to see you.
And I would love to do them, but I've never done one in my life.
Really? Because you're going to have a line out the door if you ever end up doing them.
And I've heard that. And there's one in Toronto in September or something, whether it's Comic-Con or something, Fan Expo.
Okay.
Anyway, so and apparently they weren't interested in the X-Men TAS people having a. I can't believe it. But
that's nuts.
And I said, I put it down to it's like, wow, only in Canada, baby. It's just unreal.
Well,
all the cast was totally Canadian, and it's a huge. It's a 25th anniversary this year, and with Eric's book and all that stuff. What a fantastic book that is. I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but I mean, I'm quite sure it's very long. But they weren't interested in having a panel with Eric and his wife and the rest of the cast.
That's a lot of Canadians right there. That's silly.
Oh yeah, that's correct. That's correct. And so back to your point. So yeah, I intend to do that this year, like to make it a point to get to these Comic-Cons and to do exactly that. I mean, talking Europe, and I did the show with the Super Nerds UK. Mm-hmm. Familiar with them?
Yeah, I actually am.
Yeah, they have a great show.
It's the first. Yeah, it's the first one I ever did. The first podcast I ever did was with those guys in Liverpool.
They said you've heard of the
Beatles. Yeah, in Liverpool. I know that. This is their favorite word was, "This is massive." Massive. We're talking to now. Talking to Wolverine. This is massive.
They're not wrong.
Great.
I wish that was part of my vernacular.
Oh, they were just great guys. Anyway, so they just emailed me, said that they talked to the, I guess it's the London Com or the London whatever, and informed them that I was available and gave them my contacts stuff. So hopefully that'll happen, and go across Europe and the U.S. for sure. But
let me ask you this question because it's kind of a tradition on the show.
Okay.
And this is important, and I'd like to hear this from Wolverine. But pineapple on your pizza or no?
No.
Thank you.
No.
Okay, just two more questions for you from our listeners, and then, I'll just kind of get out of the way. But this one's from a good friend of mine named Skeeter. He said, you're standing in a booth with a script. There's 5 other parts, 5 empty mics. Who is your voiceover dream team?
Yeah, because the voiceover artists I know are just all Canadians.
So they say A and please a lot, right?
They do. And actually, in some of the episodes, they would have Wolverine saying, huh. And I'd say, no, pal.
Well, he
would not say, huh. No, it would be A. If he was going to say anything, it would be A. So what do you think of that, eh? What do you think of that, huh? No, truly. They would bow to, whatever, because, they were all American. And I said, no, he wouldn't say that.
No.
He wouldn't say, huh, because you guys do. But anyway.
Us guys.
Those guys.
Us Southern types. I got you.
Well, down here, Wolverine will be saying y'all.
Y'all. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Y'all. Oh, I like saying that. I like saying y'all.
Y'all get on the Blackbird now.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, Rogue is a Southerner, and watching the show, never knew that she was supposed to be from the South because the accent was so heavy. But I think that's just a regionalized thing. You never really recognize it when people are trying to do your accent. So that's probably a challenge in voice acting, I would say.
Yes. Did you? What did you think about Gambit's accent?
Well, I didn't know much about Louisiana culture at the time, but now I totally get it. And Gambit's obviously one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
But he was the definitive version, much like Wolverine to me. Gambit on the animated series is the definitive version, mainly for the line when he's talking to Rogue and she's like, you don't want to be with me. I'm going to hurt you. And he says, maybe it's worth it, no?
Maybe it's worth it, no share?
No share? Oh, I love that. No share?
Yeah.
Gambit, Wolverine is actually a big reason that we don't see more of Gambit in the movies because people believe they kind of play the same role as far as the anti-hero, the bad boy. Do you agree with that?
I didn't see him as a bad. No, I never saw that in our series. I never even thought of him as being a bad boy.
Really?
No.
Okay.
I didn't.
I always did. That's just different.
Traditionally, his origin is that he's a thief.
Yeah.
So he was a thief in the New Orleans and the Bayou and all that, but then he usually dies in Days of Future Past. Oh man, animated series did Days of Future Past.
Yes, they did.
So Gambit, yeah. Well, Gambit, yeah. I don't know. In answer to your question, the 5 voiceover, I because I don't know any of them.
Okay, fair enough.
I would put you with Kevin Conroy.
Oh, absolutely, and
Batman.
Mark Hamill.
Oh, of course.
Oh,
Mark Hamill.
Kevin Conroy.
Yeah,
Kevin
Batman.
Conroy, Warner Brothers Batman, and then you could have Mark Hamill, the Joker. Who else are we leaving out, Wendell?
Honestly, he's not a voice actor, but I could hear him doing a spot with Ryan Reynolds. I think Wolverine and Deadpool, that incarnation would be beautiful.
All right, let's. I'll make a note to get Ryan to guest star.
Yeah, let's do that. Can we make that happen?
As soon as, well, the thing is, I have to get his.
Isn't he Canadian?
He is Canadian.
So at least he'd be polite when he said no.
I'll put up with him then.
I mean, I have to get his number from his wife. I call Blake Lively all the time, and that's how I talk to Ryan occasionally.
Well, then you probably shouldn't be talking to Ryan if you're talking to Blake. It's one of those things.
Oh, boy. Deadpool 2 coming out next year. And did you like Deadpool, Cal?
No.
Movie?
No?
No, I didn't. My cousin is now living in Texas. It's a big state, Cal. They were
real big state.
Austin.
Okay.
She's living in Austin, and her children are massive fans of Deadpool. Is this the red character?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Red
dirty
suit.
one, yes.
And that's all they talk about is Deadpool. What I was going to say cesspool.
Oh,
Egg sucking.
Wow. It sounds
Deadpool.
like it's coming from Wolverine, too.
yeah.
Anyway, that's their favorite character. So that's all I know about Deadpool.
Deadpool appeared in season 4 or 5 of animated series.
Yeah.
Very brief.
I just saw that. Actually yesterday.
Wow, you're going through the whole series.
That was the episode
with Omega Red.
That was Old Soldiers.
Old Soldiers.
Yeah, when he meets the French girl whose father is
the Captain America one.
Yes, the Captain America one. Isn't Deadpool in that?
No, that's Red Skull.
That's who?
Red Skull. That's a bad guy from the Captain America era.
Yep. Okay.
To quote Chris,
So ask me no more Deadpool questions.
No more Deadpool, I promise.
No.
To quote Chris Tucker, man, all y'all look alike.
Oh, Canadians are superheroes. Which one?
Mutants. No, mutants. All y'all.
Oh,
unless you're Morph, then you look like anybody. Oh, who else cried when you thought Morph died? I sure did.
Dude, and that was.
You did?
That was interesting because that's a character no one had heard of, nobody cared about, but suddenly this is the most important character in the world.
Yeah.
It was because of Cal, because Cal
he sold it.
You made us care about Morph because I had a director, I do a little theater, and he said something that stuck with me. You can tell me if you agree with this in acting. People only know what your character says and what others say about your character. And that was what sold Morph for me, was how Wolverine's friendship with him made us care about him.
Yeah, and that was he was only in 2 or 3 episodes,
but often mentioned.
He was in 3 episodes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
This one's for Morph. What was that? This one's for Morph. This one's for Morph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Was that the Sentinels? Was that the Sentinels?
Probably.
It was.
There must be hours of footage of just Sentinels being destroyed because that was always being stuck in there.
No, I know. Yes.
But you mentioned part of the reason for that was because of the violence rules, right?
Yes.
Throw in some robots.
So I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to like seriously sit down and look at all these because I find it sometimes it's because it brings back a lot of memories and stuff and then I start crying. But I've got to watch all the episodes, as many as I can, just to get hip to all the stuff again. Because especially if you're going to do Comic-Cons, you got to be up on it. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, people would pay to hear is for you to actually do the DVD commentary, watch the whole thing, and talk about it over the whole thing. I'd pay to hear that. That'd be amazing. I don't know if that's something you'd be interested in doing, but that would be cool as heck.
I would love that.
I don't know why they. The series that came after our series was it a younger version? Were the heroes younger?
X-Men Evolution.
Yeah, Evolution. Yeah, they were in high school, except for
they
Wolverine.
were. It was high school age. Wolverine's background was kept mostly the same. It had its good moments. I enjoyed a lot of it too. It was just different to me. They just felt very the animated series was very comic centric, whereas Evolution was trying to be more of its own thing. I think
because I always wondered why they wouldn't ask me to do that. To continue doing.
He was just doing an impression of you, basically. That's not brown nosing. That's just a fact. He was trying to.
But I know
you.
which again made me wonder why didn't you just ask me to do this?
Was it at LA that time?
Pardon?
Yeah.
Because it was at LA probably.
Yeah, that was in LA. Yeah,
and that might have been something to do with it.
I guess they didn't want anyone to think you were supposed to be the same Wolverine, maybe in that series.
Oh, okay.
Fresh start. There was one episode of that series where they played the intro to the theme song for your series, and I fanboyed out because I loved the theme song to animated series.
Yeah,
it's even better than the movie version. Do you know anything about who made that?
No, the theme song to the episode to the TAS X-Men. No, but it's fantastic.
Oh yeah,
it's definitely one of a kind.
Spent way too much time learning that on guitar as a kid.
Hey, that was time well spent.
Oh, absolutely. It was. Everything about that was so well put together.
Well, that was a great theme song, and then the sister show Spider-Man, their theme song was
same guitar player
by Joe Perry of Aerosmith.
Oh, he did that one?
I know for a fact he did the one for Spider-Man because Peter dresses up like him in one episode and says the guy from Aerosmith, and they play the theme song. And you guest starred on that show as Wolverine. You teamed up with Spider-Man in an adventure. Yeah, that was one of my favorite three-parters.
So do I have? Is that in the series? Is that one of our episodes?
No, that's the Spider-Man episode.
Yeah, that's part of Spider-Man.
Amazing Spider-Man.
It was like Spider-Man was afraid that he was a mutant, so he went to go visit Xavier to say, "Hey, can you cure my mutant problem?" And Wolverine took great offense to that, obviously, because being a mutant was great to him. Yeah. You guys have a short fight, but then I think you all become friends.
Which is typical in comic lore.
Who wins, Wolverine and Spider-Man, Cal?
Wolverine.
Thank you. Oh, we have that Hoobie 2 coming up, by the way, so yeah.
Wolverine. Yeah.
So we have your vote for Wolverine, because we do a Hoobie 2 every week. And actually, you're in the finals. Wolverine versus Spider-Man in actually the finals. So I'm going to put you down as a Wolverine.
Yeah, okay. Oh, what a tangled web we weave.
Oh, how sad, huh?
That's what he would say while he stabs him.
Again and again.
Again and again. Oh.
When you thought of Wolverine's past, when you were just making the character in your head, did you have a backstory for him?
No, I just, like I said, bought a couple of comic books to find out what he was all about. And then I just went with the direction that I was given.
That works.
From Joe.
Yeah, well, it sounds like they spent a lot of time doing that.
Joe Calamari, stuff like the guys that really care, like, that knew, like yourself, a lot of information. And I was just, tell me what I'm supposed to do here. And let's get on with it.
Nice. Okay, let me ask one last question. And this is from Christina. What is the most emotional Wolverine moment? Because I know you played the character. You weren't just saying the lines. So what was emotionally like the most powerful moment in that cartoon for you?
Well, I think it was the Nightcrawler. The Nightcrawler episode. Yeah. Because they're different, like for sadness and for, religious, whatever.
It's a lot.
Sides of him you would never see and that I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
And there's another one where he goes back to up north somewhere and spends time with Eskimos and stuff. And they were throwing him up in a blanket. I remember the natives, the Eskimos were throwing him up in,
Oh yeah.
And he's actually laughing and having, a good, because I never ever heard him laugh.
Yeah.
So emotionally, he was laughing and he was like very, very at peace and had a great talk to the chief of the tribe, and who told him to go back. You have to go back because this is what you are, and you should stay what you are because you're good at what you do. And so he just thanked him very kindly, and was sorry to leave them. And he gave a kiss to some girl that he was sort of hot on. Do you remember that episode at all? Like,
I do.
Way up, and I think it's when he left, and he broke the picture of Jean and Cyclops.
Yeah,
and he just pissed off.
Yeah, it was a healing episode for him.
Yeah, so that emotional, that was a very emotional episode, for ups and downs for him. Like definitely angry, breaking the picture, and he takes off by himself and finds these people that he helps to fish and to do this stuff, and it was a very warm side to him that I discovered in that episode. And the other one, Nightcrawler, of course, was the emotional, And also when he said that he had that meeting with Xavier and said, "I'm leaving the X-Men." And he said, "I almost killed Jubilee." He cuts the roof off Cyclops. Tell Cyclops I made him a
convertible.
Yeah, a convertible. But he said, "I almost killed a young kid for cutting me off in traffic." What the heck's up with that?
Yeah.
So those three episodes are like kind of cover the most emotional, if that's what she means.
Yeah,
the saddest thing would have been the Nightcrawler thing. I think.
Yeah.
That he gets into himself, and I don't know. But those three.
I say, and everyone can say we really appreciate how well you made us feel the emotion that you were doing. Pictures aside, you could have just played the voice. And you felt the emotion, and that's great acting, and it's definitely appreciated.
Thank you very, very much, because like I say, it was like being him. I mean, because I was, and it was really emotional to do those kind of scenes, and I just loved the shit out of them.
Yes.
I mean, I grew up listening to guys fighting in my little town, because it's a tough little town, and I would hear those lines, like anytime, pretty boy, those kind of lines. I was familiar with that stuff, and so it was just wonderful playing him and being him and play acting.
Nice.
He was great character.
I agree with Wendell. You could have made it the X-Men radio show.
Well, thank you again.
No, well, it's not about the pictures. It's not about the pretty pictures. It's about the heart and soul. I mean, all you guys did it, but I mean, you're the standout. You're Wolverine, but it was so amazing how you played the character. You were acting, and it was, better than what you see in Broadway. It's better than what you see in theater. Better than what you see on TV. It's just you felt it, and that's that's hats off respect.
And it's funny. Well, thank you very much. But I played Hamlet in a rock opera that was at Charlottetown Festival that went on to Broadway. And they changed the name of it to Rockabye Hamlet. but the guy wrote Cliff Jones wrote it was called Kronberg 1582, and it was a radio show first, and it was a musical.
Okay.
And it's great music and fantastic show. I loved it. And again, Hamlet, very introspective, very introspective person again, and like very screwed up and weird, not unlike and so I forget. There's a senior moment. Anyway, so it went to Broadway with this show, but I was just trying to show that Hamlet is sort of the same of morose, inside, introspective character like Wolverine. And to get just to play him was a real treat, and to play Hamlet was fantastic too. And Hamlet went on, as I say, it became Rockabye Hamlet in New York on Broadway, and it closed opening night, one of those horror stories, because Clive Barnes didn't like it. So that one person doesn't like it, and he had that power. And Rory, my brother, went with it, and he met Meatloaf, who was in the cast in that particular show.
Nice.
And Beverly D'Angelo, who went on after that show to become a great and that's where that story and that ended. But anyway, Rory ended up with Meatloaf and recording with Meatloaf was a bishop in the Hamlet show. But anyway, I digress.
Wow. Now
I agree with you about Hamlet and Logan having a lot in common. Mainly with just battling their own demons, and how the establishment, at least for Hamlet, it was his uncle father, as he refers to him. And then Wolverine, maybe whoever the figure might be, like I think of Weapon X and William Stryker, and how they took everything from him, basically took his birthright. And it's almost a quest to regain that. And he spends decades doing it. I don't know that we can say Wolverine ever completes his mission.
No, he shouldn't.
No.
Because that takes away all the fun. But no, I never caught that Hamlet reference. That's amazing.
There's just something I loved. I loved singing. That's all I did. My entire life was sing until I did this.
I love Shakespeare myself. Yeah. And there are a lot of Shakespearean elements to X-Men in general. I'm glad you drew the connection there. I'll be rambling about that a lot later in the next few podcasts.
Nice. So okay, Jay, real quick before we get out of here, I know you have your book coming out. Can you drop your website and all that stuff real quick for us, sir?
The book is available. Check me out right now on Amazon for Outbreak Mutiny, and you can check me out at thenovelcomics.com or at JSandlinWriter on Twitter for all future podcasts, and we will be on the book tour for the rest of the summer.
And you'll be back on in about another, I think, couple weeks. Yeah.
We'll be back soon, and Outbreak Mutiny is available in paperback or ebook is only 99 cents.
Ooh. I already bought my copy. It's all good. And Cal, any last words for us, sir, and anything you want so the people can get a hold of you or not get a hold of you, however you like to do it?
I'm not. See, Jay must know this too, because I am like a useless twit which is probably why they call it Twitter in my case, because I have no idea I can't even, I don't know how to, simple as like things. I'm just figuring out how to like things. I have a BlackBerry phone, which is might be part of the.
They still make those?
Oh yeah, they do. But no. Actually, they don't make the phone anymore. They stopped last year. So luckily, I got one of the last ones.
Yeah. Well, I know your address is at RealCalDodd.
So I'm struck. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also I have a website called caldodd.com.
Perfect.
CAL. Yeah, I told you that, Wendell. Did you try and pronounce my real spelling?
I don't even try. I don't think I could.
Oh, come on. You got it.
Okay, I'll try. Kethal.
Wrong.
Nope, didn't think so. I tried.
No, it's Gaelic, it's Irish, and it's pronounced Cahill.
Wow, I'm not even close.
I love that.
The
That's
T
amazing.
is silent, and it's pronounced Cahill. Cahill Dodd. Yeah. So when I was growing up, the kids, because we had moved from Ireland, and the kids were calling me, because they couldn't pronounce it, not unlike yourself, but they ended up calling me Cattle.
Oh, wow.
So, I said, Mom, we got to do something. They're calling me Cattle, which you don't. So, a bovine. So we changed it to CAL.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it works.
Keep on geeking on, pal.
You've been listening to iHeartGeek. Our Twitter account is @iHeartGeekShow. Hope you enjoyed the show.